Because what Mitt Romney's number one task right now is to not be defined as an unacceptable alternative by the Obama campaign, which is absolutely pounding the tar out of him. The ads about his work at Bank Capital, Joe Biden is going through the Steel Valley, absolutely laying waste to Mitt Romney and yelling about him. So Mitt Romney is trying hard to stay plausible. So how does he do it, and can he? Two good people to tell us about that are our friend Ford O'Connell. He is a Republican. He is the chairman of the Civic Forum PAC. He is a pretty big deal. You follow him at Ford O'Connell. And Garland Nixon. He is a radio host on WPFW. Yes. He is a man of the left. He is a friend of the show. And you follow him at Garland Nixon. Are these statements accurate?
Yes.
Okay, we stand by that. It's not bad for a Friday. Okay, guys. So let's start with you, Garland. When you get down to it, the president we're seeing sort of a Bush-style campaign, the same thing we saw in 2004. In 2004, George Bush did what most incumbents don't do, which is go negative in the spring. Generally, the incumbent waits. The incumbent waits until the end and then does it. In 2004, Bush took a swipe at John Kerry. Remember the wetsuit and the windsurfing? Took a swipe at him as soon as he had won the nomination, and then he backed off. But Obama, Garland, and Joe Biden are going all in on a real rough tumble treatment for Mitt Romney. Will it work?
I think it will, and I think right now that strategically it's a good move, and I'll tell you why. Normally it may not be a good move. However, they're just kind of accepting the baton in this race from the Mitt Romney's primary opponents. They basically started the narrative, and now they're accepting the baton, and they're running with the same narrative, so I think it's a good move. I mean, ultimately, all they have to do is run some of the Santorum ads and just put, my name is Barack Obama, and I approve of this message at the end.
He was right. Is what they
Unfortunately, it's Friday, and I agree with Garland.
Oh, my gosh.
The biggest problem for Mitt Romney right now is overcoming his likability problem. He doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to be more likable than President Obama. He's just got to be someone who voters think they know and trust. And right now that means he has to come out with a compelling personal narrative about his success as a businessman, as a competent governor, and as a man of faith. And right now Mitt Romney is a postcard for most voters, and the race is on to define him.
Oh, I don't. I wonder, does he need to be likable? Because
he doesn't need to be likable. He just needs to cut into that 20-plus likability gap he has with President Obama. The more likable candidate has won every single time since 1980. That will not be the case now. Romney doesn't have to be more likable. He just has got to cut that gap to 10.
All right. Okay. Duly noted. The poll that struck my interest, and really this is a good way to, if you're going to follow the election going forward, two great numbers to watch are right track, wrong track. So the right track number versus Mitt Romney's not approval rating, but his favorability. Favorability is essentially, is he okay with you? Can you live with this human being? Or do you have more good feelings than bad feelings? And if you take the latest Gallup poll, Garland, Romney, he's up 11 points on favorability, and the wrong track number is still down at like 31%. He's got a big gap there, and that's to his advantage, isn't it?
Well, I certainly think it may be, it may not be. If I were right now Mitt Romney, I'd be looking at the likability polls and the favorability polls within my own party, because he has to hold together what seems to be a coalition. He has very little room for error. If he says the wrong thing, he could lose one of the wings of his party, and if that happens, then he'd surely be done.
But the Republicans do not like that old Barack Obama one bit.
No, they don't, and that's the biggest asset that Mitt Romney has right now. The landscape is there for him to win. He just has to give voters a compelling reason to pull the lever for him, and if he does it, he's going to be the next president of the United States.
Okay. Now, one of the things, if we look back over history, you see that there have been 9 incumbent presidents to seek office. Some of them were like LBJ and Gerald Ford didn't get, so they weren't running for re-election, but incumbent presidents to run for that same office. Out of the 9, 7 have been re-elected. History says, the overwhelming verdict of modern American history, post-war history, 7 out of 9, that's a pretty good number for re-election, Garland, but it's based on 2 questions. When you do a re-election, there are 2 questions. One is, do we want something different? If we, in a perfect world, would we like to have something different than this? And then if they say, yeah, we would like to have something different, then they say, is the other guy plausible? Do you believe, as I do, that President Obama has a problem with that first question, that people do want to have a change.
Well, there may be a problem there, and I think if the problem exists, it's because they haven't done a good enough job of defining their successes. I think the challenge for the Obama campaign is to define their successes, convince people that they're successes, and to take that to take that angle.
All right. Do you agree that he has a problem with question one?
Absolutely.
Okay. People do want to change, but Mitt Romney has a problem on question two. Is this guy an acceptable alternative?
That's absolutely right. They know that they want to get rid of what they have.
Right.
The question is, can you give me a plausible reason to take you for what we got?
John Kerry. Those are the two words that if you are the Obama campaign, you're thinking about all the time, because people wanted a change from George W. Bush, but they looked at John Kerry and said, we're okay. We'll tough this one out. We're not going to take John Kerry. We are with still Ford O'Connell from Civic Forum PAC and Garland Nixon, who you can listen to on WPFW after the jazz. And it's worth sticking around for, I promise. So Joe Biden is kind of goofy, but he is also a blue-collar Catholic Democrat who President Obama believes can be his emissary to these kind of voters. So let's start with the baseline. We'll start with you, Ford, this time. Do you think that Joe Biden, is he more help or hindrance?
He's the best weapon President Obama has right now. I know that's going to sound crazy, but
What?
on the campaign trail, that is true, because he connects with white working-class voters who are souring on President Obama, and he's somebody who can speak for unions, which President Obama needs when it comes to the GOTV, particularly in states like Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Now, let me tell you, I don't know how they did it down at Duke, but I can say that in Martins Ferry, Ohio, people who are in favor of gay marriage and people who are opposed to coal mining have some problems connecting. That's a problem.
That's absolutely true, but it's about the union vote and trying to win back certain segments of the white working class voter, and that's where Joe Biden is doing the best job. He is the attack dog for the president.
Now, is Garland? Do you think? And he is attack dog indeed. I mean, he toned it down yesterday. The day before, he was like he wasn't looking at the prompter. He was just letting it rip. And these rich people and screaming at Mitt Romney. Too much?
No, and see what Joe Biden does, the charisma he has, is that he connects with the emotional side of the brain. Some of the things you were talking about just now, they were rational, reasonable things that you may discuss. But people that have Joe Biden's everyday type of charisma, they connect emotionally. People like them. They're like the guy next door who comes over and borrows the lawnmower or something. that's what he reminds me of.
That's true, but let me translate that for conservatives. The media lets Joe Biden get away with murder. That's the bottom line.
Oh,
that's why he's
media
the weapon.
bias. The red team always gets media bias in there. Here's what Vincent DeCampo says: watching Biden is like watching NASCAR. You are just waiting for the crash, and there is some truth in that he has, and they embrace it to a certain degree, don't they? They embrace the goofy Joe Biden. Obama made fun of him. Sheriff called him Sheriff Joe.
Yeah.
It chiefed him, as they would say. Hey, Chief, good job. He did that to him. He also they have the Onion parodies about him out waxing his Trans Am and in jorts in the front driveway of the White House and all this stuff, just turning him into this goofy person. But this is not what we're used to seeing running mate attack dogs. That's a thing. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Dick Cheney, or you go back to who was the governor of Maryland, who was Richard Nixon's
Agnew,
Spiro T. Agnew, Ted Agnew. That's a common role. But goofy attack dog is something that's unusual. Does the goofy eventually catch up with Biden? Does it get to be too much?
And you've got to look at how long this man has been in politics.
He's been around.
It hasn't caught up with him yet. This has always been an asset to Joe Biden. As I said, I think he connects with people in a different kind of way, and people like him. So when he performs, shall we say, I think people laugh at it. People don't. After the accident on a NASCAR
right.
during that, people don't turn it off and walk away from the TV.
Well,
they keep watching it.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes, the correct answer there is much like when you're watching golf, is to just doze off.
They
you're
cringe
just on
a
the
little
couch.
bit.
You're on the couch and you just you are taken to a peaceful sleep. Ford, and we were talking before about Mitt Romney and his running mate. Does who Biden is and what he does affect? Because this person is going to have to debate Joe Biden. This person is going to have to go toe to toe with Joe Biden. how much does Biden affect Romney's choice when it comes to making a decision like that?
I think a great deal. I think that the Republicans are going to need an attack dog, someone who can take the media narrative, turn it around, and allow Mitt Romney to play offense. They're going to need an attack dog, and they're going to need someone who can message quickly on their feet, and someone who can stay on message and paint Romney in the best possible light.
And who is that?
I don't know right now. We're going to find out sometime in August.
He won the pool. He won the pool in 2008, but he's not telling now, is he?
Well, actually, my business partner Steve Pearson did. I'd be lying if I said it was fully me.
All right. It was a collaborative effort. But give me 3 names. Let's talk about a range of people.
Rob Portman, Susana Martinez, and Chris Christie of New Jersey.
Okay. What do you think? Who should he pick to deal with Biden?
I think Chris Christie would probably be a strong candidate because Christie, similar to Biden, are guys who are kind of all shucksy kind of guys, but they're really smart. They're both stupid like a fox. So I think that's
wow.
Yeah, they're dumb like a fox, right? Basically.
Okay. To your point, Ford, Mock Tank says my only requirement to vote against Obama is that they have a pulse, and I might even overlook that. Feisty chat today. You chatters are feisty out there. Let's see. Comment from the king of politics. Chris, it's not over till it's over. Biden is no Dizzy Dean. And so this goes to the argument that Biden, this is a calculated play. He's not just a goofus, that this is a calculated play. Do you think this is a knowing, calculated style for Joe Biden, or is it just...
I don't know if it's a knowing, calculated style, but it's working. Okay. And that's what the GOP has to really go against, because he really is an effective attack dog, even though those of us on the right think it's a joke. But it's working.
Well, it's not working that well because Mitt Romney's favorables are up to 50, as we said before.
I think it's still a bounce from coming out of a bloody primary. I do think that Mitt Romney's on the right path, and I want him to close that gap, and I'm obviously right behind him to win.
Garland, Ford's making it too easy for you today. He's arguing all your points for you today. You're nothing but layups. You should say something good about the Republicans before we go.
Well, let's not stretch further. Let's not get out of hand here.
And this is what I get for being out.
That's right. Exactly.
Thanks a lot, but I'm not going to lose my mind here.
That's right. Okay, that's fine. Gentlemen, we thank you very much for being with us. We hope you have a great weekend. It is fun, as always.